Dark Knight Rises. The gunman broke into the theater, exploded tear gas, and shot scores with several guns.
Back is full blood. I don't know if that matters or not. Full what? Blood. Excessively. Back seats are full of biohazard material.
ABC News confirms 14 dead, 50 injured. The bloody and confusing chaos captured on camera. Reports of children and infants injured.
I heard the sound of metal canisters clinking around, and then I saw plumes of smoke.
Police have a suspect in custody. His car found packed with a gas mask, rifle, and handgun. Breaking coverage starts now. The mass shooting at Dark Knight. Good morning, America. I'm here with Amy Robach. Robin is off today. Josh and Sam here as well. We're going to go to live pictures of that mall in Aurora, Colorado, where a midnight showing of the Batman movie turned into a nightmare. Police are on the scene. Right now we know, as we said before, we were reporting 14 dead. We now believe there are only 12 dead, but I wanted to look at those hazmat teams going into the movie theater right now. Of course, there's blood on the scene, but also reports of smoke bombs, Amy, going off. So they're going to go in there and try and figure out exactly what that substance was.
That's right, and here's what we know right now. As you mentioned, the revised number, 12 dead, 50 injured. The youngest victim, just 3 months old. The suspect is in custody right now. We know he's a young man, 24 years old. Eyewitnesses describe him as armed for battle, a rifle, a handgun, a shotgun, and as George mentioned, smoke bombs. We're learning a lot more about the victims in the shooting as well, and we're about to hear from several eyewitnesses.
And their stories are just chilling. Our reporter is live on the scene right now. ABC's Clayton Sandell at the mall in Aurora, Colorado, where this horrifying scene unfolded just hours ago. Clayton?
Good morning, George. You're right. It is just a horrific scene here in Aurora, Colorado. This is a movie theater that is attached to basically a suburban mall here in Aurora. The theaters were packed for midnight showings of The Dark Knight. And when just after midnight, the movie had just gotten underway, and what we heard from witnesses were that there were parts of the movie where there was shooting, there was explosions, and all of a sudden, the shooting started for real. At the suspect's apartment building, police have it surrounded. The building already evacuated. Fears that his apartment may be booby-trapped. The scene was chaotic overnight, moviegoers fleeing for their lives.
I used to smell smoke, and then you just kept hearing it. Bam, 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 non-stop. The gunman never had to reload. It just, the shots just kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going.
Eyewitnesses spoke of a man dressed in a mask and bulletproof kicking open emergency doors to Theater 9 and opening fire with a shotgun.
My friend sitting next to me turned towards me, and she got part of a bullet hit her in the mouth.
Witnesses say the suspect may have used tear gas at a moment in the movie when the same thing was happening on screen. Rounds penetrated into Theater 8 next door. More than 250 police have responded to the scene, along with 100 FBI agents.
Back is full of blood. I don't know if that matters or not. Full of what? Blood. Excessively. Back seats are full of biohazard material.
Police say they've arrested the suspect, described as an adult male, 24 years old, heavily armed and heavily armored. But police believe at this point that he was acting alone. The suspect was found with 3 weapons, including a possible assault rifle.
The suspect, who is in custody, made statements about possible explosives in possession in his residence. And we are dealing with the potential that there are explosives inside there. We're also concerned about explosives in the parking lot, hence the parking lot is completely sealed off.
Survivors and witnesses have been taken to a triage area at a local high school. Now, at that local high school where witnesses and victims have been taken, there were 4 busloads, we understand, of people who were taken there to be interviewed by authorities. We know that FBI victim advocates are also on the scene helping out. And one of the victims we have learned, George and Amy, is a 3-month-old baby.
Disturbing indeed. Clayton, thank you very much. Let's bring in eyewitness Erin Post now. She is 15 years old. She saw the shooter. She was in the theater at the time, and she joins us now. Erin, good morning. And I understand when you first heard the shots, what happened in that theater? You were sitting there with your friends.
The first thing you actually heard was something drop across the movie theater explode.
And soon after that, you hear kind of smell the tear gas or whatever you used. And then soon after that, you just saw like gunshots coming from the corner of the movie theater, and it's just like you hear bang, 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 just like really, really loud. And everybody just like screaming, just turns into chaos, and everybody's just trying to get down and get out, and it's just the guns.
And Aaron, I understand that the timing of the shooting coincided with a moment on screen in the movie that it seemed like maybe this was all a part of the movie, correct? Was it surreal, confusing?
Yes, it's correct. Everybody, at first, you know, when the thing exploded, everybody just thought it was not necessarily special effects, but things that had already put together, like the movie theater, to, you know, go along with the movie. But then shortly after, when the gunshots started, everybody realized, you know, that it wasn't something they put together.
And Aaron, did you actually get to see the gunman? I know he was in a dark corner. He was dressed all in black, but did you get a look at him at all?
Vaguely when the movie would light up, or when the shots would light up his face, and you could tell that he definitely had like a black hoodie on, some gloves, a gas mask, and it was crazy.
And Aaron, I understand as everybody was rushing to get out, you actually saw a child, a kid who needed some help. Tell me about that.
Yes, after we had already got out of the movie theater, we were trying to get to my friend's car so that we could get out of there. We saw this kid, you know, like limping and starting to fall. So two of the guys that were with us, you know, I carried him over to the car. We opened the door. We sat him in there, and he had been shot in his leg. And we tried, you know, we took to the dog, tried to tie the rest of his legs to get the bleeding to stop and slow down and whatnot. And we kept waiting until the police got there, and all he wanted us to do was find his little sister, which we sat there for him. So he was just very grateful for our help.
Sure. Aaron, thank you so much. At 15 years old, what a brave young woman. Thank you for joining us this morning. George?
Okay, Amy, thanks very much. ABC News has confirmed the name of the 24-year-old suspect. It is James Holmes. That comes from federal law enforcement. James Holmes, that is. ABC's Pierre Thomas, Brian Ross here now with the latest. And Pierre, do we know anything more about Mr. Holmes?
Again, James Holmes is described to me by federal law enforcement sources as 24 years old, white male. Sources are saying he has a pretty clean record so far. Again, they checked him out. No known nexus to domestic or international terrorism. Sources are telling me this is looking like a lone wolf scenario. Again, they're vacuum cleaning his life, getting any information they can about this man. Again, as Clayton Sandell reported, more than 100 FBI agents on the scene assisting local police.
Getting any information they can, Brian, not only about his relationships, but also the weapons he had on the scene.
Exactly. He lives in apartment 9 in that building, now being searched by police and the FBI. ABC News has spoken with his mother in California. She confirmed for us that he is the person, according to a phone call early this morning.
That he's the one. Has she spoken with him at all?
She seems to be confused about it, but she says she's in touch with local police and the police in Colorado as well.
And he is being described right now as a lone wolf, and this is something that law enforcement officials have been worried about, have been intensively worried about over the last year.
Right, and if lone wolf applies to somebody who is seeking to carry out a terror attack from a higher source, it doesn't seem to fit the profile here at all. He seems to be somebody who has perhaps deranged, has visions of grandeur, dressing almost like Batman in the Batman movie, but appears to be from the Southern California area, from the best we can tell on our background checks that we're conducting right now.
We are looking at his apartment complex right now, Pierre, and Pierre, we see a man in the window right there. Pierre, we do know that the suspect led police to the apartment, saying that he had explosives there.
Yes, law enforcement officials are checking out his apartment. They're being obviously very careful. And again, as Brian mentioned, right now the key is to look at his background, find out as much as you can about him. Again, they've not ruled out, you know, other people being involved, but right now that appears to be the case according to my sources. And right now, law enforcement officials say that they have a very difficult day ahead. Obviously, around the country, a lot of people will be going to the movie Batman. There'll be be large crowds, and you have the potential for copycats. That will be one concern going forward for law enforcement today as we go forward.
Okay, Pierre and Brian, thanks very much. Josh.
All right, we want to bring in another eyewitness now. Her name is Shayla Roeder. She's 25 years old and was, in fact, in the theater across from the one showing the Batman premiere. Good morning to you, Shayla. We have heard several eyewitnesses now describe the scenes inside the theater itself. What is it that you saw?
For us, it started calm. Everyone thought everything was a joke, nothing was going on. We walked out, we saw the police officer with a gun across his chest, telling everyone to get out of the theater, not playing it like anything was a joke. We all thought it was a joke. As we exit out, we see the police officer with his gun. The first thing we see when we walk out is a 13, 14-year-old girl with a wound in her leg, her stomach, and her chest. And at that time, everyone kind of realized what was going on. We saw the look in her eyes. Everything was just not normal at all.
Now, you say it was calm, perhaps, as you filed out of the theater you were in. What was the scene like in the lobby of that theater complex?